By now, I'm sure you've all heard that the world is going to end this Saturday, May 21st. And I'm also sure that you've done your fair share of mocking those people who propagate this nonsense, sometimes at the expense of their own life savings. Sure, it's easy to laugh at their utter inability to learn from history. And let's be honest, it's fun, too. It's that brand of self-congratulatory amusement that merges contempt, pity, and condescension into a blended cocktail of schadenfreude on the rocks. But if we drink too deeply, then I fear that we're going to miss a chance to actually learn something very important about ourselves. Allow me to back up and explain myself. Doomsday prophecies are nothing new, of course. People have been predicting the end of the world ever since the world began. In the 1950s, social psychologist Leon Festinger actually managed to infiltrate a doomsday cult. The cult's leader, Dorothy Martin, claimed that aliens were going to flood the world on December 21st, 1954, and that only her devout followers would be spared. Festinger made two predictions. First, that the world was not going to end on December 21st, 1954. And second, that there would be an inverse correlation between how much the followers invested in the cult and how disillusioned they were when the prophecy failed. That is, those who hadn't sacrificed much would probably feel mildly embarrassed, slink away, and go back to their normal lives. But those who had invested everything, those who had liquidated their assets and gave every last dime to the cult, would probably double down and become even more convinced in the rectitude of the cult and its leader. Festinger was spot on with both predictions. Those who gave up their life savings, walked away from their families, burned bridges with their friends, unquestioningly accepted Martin's explanation that the aliens had spared the Earth because of the devotion of the cult. Festinger chronicled the experience in his book, When Prophecy Fails, and in addition, he tried to offer a social psychological explanation for this phenomena. He coined the phrase cognitive dissonance to refer to that unstable state that people find themselves in when two of their profound beliefs come into direct conflict with each other. In the case of Martin's cult, those beliefs were, on the one hand, I am a smart, responsible person, and on the other, I did something really stupid and irresponsible. Those two beliefs cannot coexist together comfortably. They are dissonant with one another. So that means that one of them has to go. And who among us can honestly give up the belief that they are smart and responsible? That means that instead they abandon the idea that they did something stupid and irresponsible by engaging in self-justification. They must have been right to cash out their children's college fund in preparation for the end, because if they hadn't done that, things would have been so much worse. By justifying their behavior, albeit retroactively, dissonance is resolved and they're able to go back to thinking of themselves as smart, responsible people. The incredible thing about dissonance theory is how versatile it is. It doesn't just apply to doomsday cults and religious fanatics. It is a near ubiquitous social psychological phenomena. How did the birthers react when Obama released his long-form birth certificate? How do global warming deniers react when yet another meta-analysis shows that the planet's average temperature is rising? How did world-famous epidemiologist and former Playboy model Jenny McCarthy react when Andrew Wakefield's work on the connection between vaccines and autism was denounced as fraudulent by the medical community? But these are just the low-hanging fruits. Think about the businessmen who make catastrophic decisions for their companies, prosecutors who convict people later exonerated by DNA evidence, or lovers who sabotage good relationships for petty reasons. I see cognitive dissonance whenever I make a video on factory farming. No one wants to admit that the casual behavior they've been engaging in since they were children is actually contributing to the single largest cause of suffering the planet has ever known. Their belief that, on the one hand, they are morally decent people collides headlong with the evidence of routine torture perpetrated on factory farms. So people resolve their cognitive dissonance by denying the reality of factory farms, or claiming that they're just one person and they can't really change anything, or saying that it's not their fault the industry abuses animals or that the government doesn't enact better laws to protect animals. This way, they can continue to believe that they are morally decent people and still go on eating animal products. But that too is low-hanging fruit, at least for me. That's the thing about self-justification. It's easy to see when someone else is trying to resolve their own cognitive dissonance, but it's a lot harder to catch ourselves in the act. As I speak these words, I'm wearing clothes made with sweatshop labor and using a computer from the most environmentally unfriendly consumer electronics company in the world. Both of these things conflict fairly deeply with my values and make it harder for me to think of myself as a morally good person. Most of the time, I simply resolve my dissonance by using the same sorts of excuses I was critiquing just a moment ago. All of us encounter conflicts between how we would like to think of ourselves and the often less than exemplary reality behind that screen. Sometimes we own up to our shortcomings and try to do better next time, but more often than not, we self-justify to protect our fragile little egos. It is with this knowledge in mind that I can't really bring myself to revel in the inevitable embarrassment of the May 21sters. Not only because this is completely counterproductive. The more abashed they are, the more likely they are to resolve their dissonance by insisting that they were right after all. But also because, if you'll pardon the expression, there, but for the grace of God, go I. I've never fallen in with a doomsday cult, or a cult of any kind for that matter, and in all likelihood neither have you. Yet while indulging our schadenfreude might amuse us, it also makes it harder for us to realize that each of us, in our own way, is preaching the end of the world. Rather than laughing at their cognitive dissonance, let's take this opportunity to see if we can't pluck the discord from our own minds instead.